I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here we go, car restarts up we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. Spectacular fashion.
Welcome to Goat Talk Live.
I don't know. I get a little tired of hearing it, right?
The 99 is terrible. Here, I'm lacking for some reason. It's real white and flabby.
WTF. What are we doing?
Eddie, I tell everybody who'll listen that we're a really big deal.
Continues to grow and grow and grow.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Goat Talk Live here on February 27th, 2025. And, man, I'm excited for this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. Pat, my co-host, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. That looked like it took a lot of concentration you did to figure out what today's date was. Did that hurt?
I had to look down at the calendar there. I didn't even know I was going to say all that. It just comes out sometimes.
It worked. And we have a great episode tonight. We spent a lot of time over the past few weeks talking to a lot of our sponsors, getting to know them, had some fun conversations, Chris from Glove Station, TJ and Brian last week from Alexander PCs, Amber. Well, she was a meh. There's way too many insults, happening during that whole episode. John from SAVE22. I mean, you name it. We've had a lot of really cool guests over the past few weeks, but this week we get to dive back into the league, hang out with one of our very own. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And this guy, I mean, he could probably hang out for the whole episode since he's involved in the racing as well.
Heck yeah, we get the second co-host here tonight. I love it.
Yeah.
Before we bring him in, we've got to thank our best sponsor. We are Goat Talk presented by SAVE22, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time talking about this. You need to go watch Tuesday Talk from this past week. Please go support them. What an episode! I can't say it's a good episode, but it's a real episode, and it's it's worth going and watching. Support those guys. They're doing great work, and Tuesday is a great example of what kind of work they're doing. Please go support them at Save22Vet on YouTube and Save22.vet. Also, ATYL has a new sponsor, so we want to help those folks out and support our folks. HappyHourRacing.com. And if you scan that QR code, it'll take you there. Make sure if you do go that you have that /ATYL. That way it lets them know where you came from and shows support for ATYL Media, Taylor Kitchen, everybody over there. But Happy Hour Racing, they got all kinds of cool products, all kinds of any driver, some old stuff, some new stuff. Go check it out. There's some Bud Dale stuff on there that I kind of want. So I'm going to be checking out HappyHourRacing.com as well. So those are two main sponsors. Of course, we got so many partners here at Goat Talk. But the whole reason why we're here tonight, well, it's here to talk to Devon Smith. We're going to bring him in here. Devon Smith, what's going on?
How's it going?
What's up?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel here, but you know what? Happy for you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody canceled. I asked my garbage man, and he said, I can't. I got stuff to do. And so we decided to bring in Devon. Of course, if you don't know, Devon was the second ever Sim Rig recipient from Goat Locker Racing. And dare I say, everybody's done a great job. All the sim rig winners have done a great job. Dare I say, Devon Smith probably has improved the most since he's been here. I've seen him compete for amateur wins over in the ARCA series. Been a fantastic driver, and it seems like you're getting better every week, Devon.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I definitely there was a pretty steep learning curve right there, kind of where you get all like you feel a lot of improvement there for a bit, and that's definitely starting to get to the point now where it's getting a little bit more challenging, but I'm also starting to learn more. Like I understand what people are talking about, like basic terms like, hey, we're getting tight, we're getting loose. Like I actually know what that means now.
That's good. Yeah. You got to pick up on the lingo a little bit, understand what the car is doing. So, good to hear.
Yeah, well, some of the sim rig giveaway winners didn't know what a yellow flag or checkered flag was. So there's a lot that you have to learn, especially if you don't know. Well, Devon, what is your what is your background as far as racing? I know you're sort of you like IndyCar, or you into NASCAR. What's sort of your background when it comes to racing?
So I grew up around cars, but I grew up around show cars. My dad was a custom painter, so I kind of grew up on that side of the aisle. But no, when I was young, I watched NASCAR. I think I was just drawn, you're like a kid, you're like cool colored looking cars going fast. More recently, I'm more open wheel. That's through familial matters because, my wife works for an open wheel company. So from F1 to IndyCar, that's where kind of my loyalties lie. But I've definitely been enjoying NASCAR, and being on iRacing has helped me appreciate NASCAR more, the complexities of that, and like, what's like on restrictor plates and versus the normal tracks, like, so that's been good. I've been watching more. I'm like, I kind of get that more now. But yeah, so anything with wheels, man, really, I'll watch it.
It always seems to make a difference whenever you learn more about the intricacies of a sport. It really helps you appreciate it. When you don't know, everybody uses the same joke with NASCAR. All they do is turn left, and we as NASCAR fans, we know there's way more to it than that. But it takes you kind of diving in to kind of learn that and find that out. So. It seems like that be like that for every sport. Where are you from? Where do you hail from?
So I'm originally from the Seattle area, but I'm currently living in Indianapolis.
Motorsports capital of the world.
Yep.
No better place to be, if you ask me. But I mean, before you moved here and all the other kind of stuff, I mean, talk about your time in the service, some of the things that you did, because we want to kind of get to know you a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of had a weird route into the service. I was an officer, but I didn't do the ROTC or Service Point Academy route. I did my master's degree, got out, was working in the world, and said, this is stupid. And so I walked in a recruiting station one day, and, and a year later I shipped off to basic training. So I did, I was an armor officer, so 19 Alpha for the Army guys there. But I trained on tanks and spent most of my time in the scouts and leading Bradleys and whatnot. But in that meantime, I was a defense liaison as well. So I spent time with a year with a British infantry unit, just getting rained on for 12 months. It was terrible. And then, I got out about 3 years ago, went to the reserves. I was in a psychological operations, or PSYOP as most people call it, for a little bit, doing as a detachment commander there. And actually just last week got my orders to the IRR. So I'm almost completely free of the paperwork and whatnot. That's the quick and download of my career.
Well, I want to know more about PSYOPs. Can you tell me something about that? Got a cool story from that, or what that's like?
Yeah, so, I was in the reserve, so I didn't get to do as much as I did like on active duty stuff. But PSYOP is honestly like, people talk a lot about PSYOP, and like you see it in social media, like, oh, this is all PSYOP. And you know what, like, honestly, it's the Army's marketing department. That's really what it is. You're just out there in, combat zones trying to influence people's decisions to do stuff. It's people think it's this crazy stuff, and some PSYOP guys think they're doing crazy stuff too. But yeah, no, that's the basics of it, and yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I never got to experience any of those types of things and all that, but and then you get out of the Army and you come home, or you come here to Indiana. I mean, how long is that process? What's that process look like? And, what have you done since leaving the Army? Yeah,
so it's been a bit interesting leaving the Army. Like I said, 3 years ago, I came off active duty. That first year, man, I moved into a house. As soon as moved into the house, literally everything broke on it, partially through the cellars. The cellars broke a cold water line the day that they were moving out and flooded the house. So I spent like the first 5 months. I was like, well, I got this insurance money. I don't have a job. I'm going to take this money and like do it myself and actually make it nicer. So, I was just kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit. About 2 years ago, I joined some colleagues from the British Army who were getting out. I helped them kind of start a company, kind of using AI to translate military experience and to help jobs. So that's a primarily UK-based company, but they wanted my experience because they're trying to move over into the US. So I kind of help out with them on whenever I can while still looking for a job myself.
Awesome, man. Well, I mean, it's been fun having you as my pro-am teammate in the ARCA series. It's been really fun getting to know you. It's a lot of fun. You get to see my worst side, unfortunately, because you get to be in a Discord chat during a race.
It can be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun. Well, I think the last I looked, we were leading the standings, and so we're doing really good there. So, man, it's awesome to have you here with us. But yeah, so your wife, you talked about she worked for an IndyCar team. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So I've actually met. She's English, and I met her when I mentioned I was over in the UK. So when I met her there, she was working for the McLaren Formula One team back in the painful days of their Honda partnership and whatnot. So yeah, that she came out with me. We got married, and we were at the weird point. So I was at the point where I could leave the military without, there's restrictions when you can leave, and then I was at a point where if I stay in, knew I was going to be in for I was going to incur an ADSO for all the schools I had to go to and what. So it was like, all right, hey, if you get a job in this time, I'll bounce out because I'm holding back your career. The military is terrible for that. And sure enough, she's like, hey, you want to go to Indy? And I was like, no, it wasn't top on my list, but hey, let's do it. So here we are. Yeah, she's the chief of staff over there at Aaron McLaren now. Actually works with Warren. I saw him in the chat there. So yeah, no, it's been cool. It's been great learning a new discipline and seeing her career just really kind of rise. So it's been good.
Yeah. So came here to Indianapolis, whole new city, whole new place, all those types of things, trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up and adjusting to just a whole different environment. So kind of talk a little bit about what that's kind of been like for you, and then really how you kind of got connected to us here at Goat Locker Racing.
Yeah, I Pat, you probably know, you're in the military, you kind of get used to this whole, I had in the 10 years, I had about 10 addresses, it was that bad. So you kind of get used to the whole moving around, setting up routes. The only thing that was different about this move is I wasn't in the military anymore. So you didn't have that that kind of pre-built community. And for me, having to find a job, she was sorted out. She was covered down, but, it was now I do, which leads into how I discovered Goat Locker, was through InVets. So I've signed up for them. I got, pretty much soon after Indianapolis, I heard about them. I signed up and, I'm on their newsletters and stuff like that. And one day they say, hey, get a free sim rig sort of thing. And I put my name in and I was like, that's the last. I was like, I'll never hear about that again. I've never won anything in my life when it comes to that stuff. A few months later, Pat calls me up. Hey, you won. I was like, oh, here we go. All right. Well, cool. So yeah, that's kind of how that all happened.
What's that process like from the phone call from Pat? Because I really don't know. I don't think. What's the process like from your perspective? You put your name in the hat, you get selected. What kind of goes on from there?
Yeah, no, it was pretty straightforward. Pat was just like, hey, you've won. We just ask that you compete with the league for a couple of years and sign the paperwork saying you'll do so. And also, and in this case, I was at the Lincoln Tech car show. Mm-hmm. So, hey, can you come down and meet us there and pick up all the pieces? So was happy to go down there to Lincoln Tech to car show and then loaded up car with all the boxes. And yeah, I came home and set it all up. It was pretty straightforward. The hardest part was, the after, getting used to iRacing, getting used to all the other stuff that goes wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you paid attention real closely there, you know that he is under contract with Goat Locker Racing. So this whole, you haven't paid any royalties yet, Eddie, to use one of my drivers, and all those types of things. I have a written contract with him. So we'll talk about the legal stuff afterwards and the breach of contract here and all that. Right. But no, I mean, it's such a cool experience. I talk about it all the time. Everybody sees all the stuff, to be able to do the things that we do and to meet up with you. And one of the cool things about it too was, we do this every single time. It's like you get selected for it. My board of directors says, yeah, that's our guy. And then I just drop off a bunch of boxes and bounce. And everybody's like, that's kind of a dick move. And I'm like, not really. I think it's everybody's rite of passage to build their own racing setup. I think, but a couple people like, that's kind of a dick move. And I'm like, I think they could do okay. But you've also volunteered some of your time with Goat Locker. I mean, you've done some events with us and things along those lines. So I know we did the Future Farmers of America together. How was that experience for you? Kind of being at our setup and seeing everybody, there at the booth with us.
Yeah, that was pretty far out. Mostly because I'd never even heard of Future Farmers America, and you saw a zillion kids running around these blue matching corduroy jackets. I was like, "What is this?" But no, it was cool that the kids were interested in it. Yeah. There was some it's fun to see the level of talent that you get in there. There were some kids that were barely keeping on the track, and there was like 3 or 4 kids that were just, they could have had a future in some racing discipline if they they pursued that. So no, it was a good time. It was, I used to, before I joined the military, I worked in museums, and one of the things I was overseeing I was at a museum of flight, so I was overseeing our flight simulators there and stuff like that. So it kind of felt like old home week, and I was like, oh look, I'm just, except then I was checking employees and now I was running it, but still, it was great fun.
Have you done any racing sims before you got the sim rig? Have you been on sims before, like racing stuff?
No, never.
Really?
I never had been on a racing sim. I used to play Forza Motorsport. That's the closest I ever got. But I'll tell you what, after my Xbox 360 red ring to death the third time, that was that was it. And I was over.
You didn't try the towel in the oven trick?
I think I did actually.
Wrap it in a towel and put it in the
oven. But yeah, no. So
those were the days.
That's been a long time since I've been done that.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So what? When you got everything booted up, you jumped on iRacing. Kind of what was your, I don't ever get to see iRacing through somebody's, some new eyes. I don't get to see that. I've been on iRacing since 2008 or 2009, and played all the Papyrus games before that. What's it like when you join iRacing? Is it overwhelming? Does it feel like normal? What's the sort of the big hurdle, the first hurdle you have to get over?
So I think for me, because I first time with the wheel or anything like that, the biggest hurdle, the menus were kind of weird at first. I was trying to figure out what are the officials? I was like, what is this? I didn't realize that it was every 30 minutes or an hour or stuff. So I was trying to figure out how to maybe jump in races. I've got to wait to do this. It's not just jump into a lobby.
Right.
But for the biggest challenge I had was the settings. I spent quite a lot of time on YouTube watching videos how to set stuff up, because I just didn't know hey, what's the right amount of force feedback? What should it actually feel like to just be right? And you got with the Mosey, you've got all the pit house. I'm like, does that matter? I didn't know what mattered and what didn't. And so going through all that stuff it took a lot of time. And I ran without in-race comms for until Jake Lenke started the late models last season. Yeah. And he's like, hey, can we get comms check? And I was like, because I'd heard people talking about it, but I didn't, sometime on the thing, I must have unchecked allow voice comms in the thing. And so I never heard anything. I was hear people talking about it, but I'm like, I don't know maybe they're just in a Discord channel or something. I don't know. But,
it's kind of a rite of passage to not have voice comms on. I feel like that's sort of the first thing you do is just, you don't hear it, you wreck somebody, they run into you, and you're like, why are you mad? I don't know what you're
right.
I don't know what's going on, and the whole time they've been yapping at you. So but once you get in, you start driving. Did you feel comfortable? Did you jump into IndyCar stuff first? Did you do open wheel, or did you try to jump into NASCAR? What was the first thing you tried to do?
First thing I did was the Miatas. I jumped into the Miatas because I was a bit more, at least I like things, some tracks I kind of, from my Forza Motorsport days, I kind of remembered which left and right they went. And so I figured, I'll do something that's most familiar just to see how it feels. And then, of course, I jumped in with the ARCA cars in there. And that was, definitely a trial by fire a little bit on the beginning there. The first few was just and it wasn't so much the driving, solo driving was fine. It was driving in a pack. And, with the single screen, I have no idea what's on the right side of the car. And so it's really trusting the spotter and trying to get a sense for what's happening there. That was huge.
Yeah, trying to get a sense of the space where your front, your right front is, where their car is, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, whenever did you? When I first started, it's different now. When I first started, there were no league races, anything like that. You had to start in rookies, and you had to drive in rookies for a month. Like that's all you could run. You had they didn't have the fast pass thing now, so you had to start in rookies, whether it was the solstice in the roadside and the legends on the oval side. And you had to run that for 4 weeks. You had to maintain a good safety rating. Then you got promoted. Then you ran another 4 weeks or so, and you got promoted again. Did you feel like that there was a ladder system, or does it feel kind of defunct at this point? Were you aware that there's like a license system that you move up into?
Yeah, 100%. And that was kind of, I sat down and was like, I'm going to try and jump up through the safety ratings and stuff like that. And just to get my feet in the water and stuff like that. I haven't done much with it. I found I really didn't like the officials.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're there. I need to I know they were talking about doing like GT3 like races, like actual stuff, and that needs a C license. So I'll probably hop back in and just grind my way through it. But I don't like ranked, and I don't like ranked in any sort of game. Like, I've played tons of other video games. I'll never play ranked. So having the iRating there, like, I know it doesn't matter, but I'm a naturally competitive person, and seeing that, like, oh, he just lost 90 points. And you're like, oh, great.
Yeah. We had a conversation about this, didn't we? I think I'm remembering it now. Because I don't know if it was you or somebody else that asked, what do I need to do about iRating? And I have a lot of soapboxes that I stand on. Because I've always just kind of, I've gone through this stuff, and I'm like old guy, like, here's what I know. But like, iRating was the biggest downfall for me, because I would get so damn mad after every race. Safety rating I didn't really care about, but iRating, you lose iRating, you get so mad, and it just ruins the fun. Like, iRating just ruined it. So I did. So are you the type of guy that really cares about those type of ratings?
Man, I don't care, like, in like a person, like I don't put my ego on it, but it does frustrate. It does like take some of the fun out of it, just because I said that natural competitive. And when you see it, and you're just, especially when you're like, we've all been on those terminal declines, whatever game it is, when you're just like tanking and you just watch it, and it comes like a bad spiral. And then it, like you said, it takes the fun out of it. And like you said, if you're not having fun at stuff, like, you just don't do it. So yeah, I wish there was more unranked series in, I know there's a few truck series that I've been thinking about doing, but yeah.
Yeah, iRacing doesn't offer a lot in those realms, and I kind of agree with you there. I really can't remember last time I did an official race. I think I poked my head in this last year at like one of the C fixed, just for the fun of it. I think I was testing something with my equipment. Because it can get pretty brutal in there, for sure. But yeah, no, you've gotten accustomed to a couple different things here. Definitely been doing some great things in the ARCA series. I mean, what's next for you? As you look at some of the different disciplines and some of the different things we're doing, where do you kind of see your next move?
Yeah, no, I've actually been thinking about that recently. I'm like, I am somewhat time limited on like what nights to do. I've really been enjoying the GT3 cars, since that's a different discipline. And I'm looking for, like, I like the ARCA cars. I'll be curious. I know we're going to talk about this later. I'll be curious what the next gen ARCA cars that are coming out here feel like. That might be the time to like hop over to, I was kind of maybe the Xfinity, because that's just a good night for me to run. We'll see. Yeah, late models. I enjoy running the late models with the guys, but I kind of prefer the longer tracks. I don't know what the difference is, like, but I don't know. I prefer the.
Everything's on top of you. You're stressed out literally constantly, and you have to drive those cars so hard. You can't really take it easy. It doesn't feel like. Can I throw a little bug in here? Yeah. Something, if you haven't tried it, either the Lotus 49 or the Lotus 79, the open wheel, the old like Formula cars. I think you'd really enjoy this. If you're an open wheel guy, if you're looking for something that's really kind of easy to get into but fun as hell, once you kind of master it, go check out those Lotus 79. Go check out a channel, a broadcast on YouTube, GSRC. They broadcast the top split, Lotus 49 and Lotus 79. Those things are so much fun to drive. I think you'd probably enjoy them. So maybe go check that out. I think I don't know. That's a lovely thing about iRacing. You can literally do anything you want at this point. It's crazy the amount of content they have and different communities that love certain cars. But those old Lotus 49 and 79s, you could throw those things around. It's like they got a steering wheel. It's about this big. It feels like you're in here driving like this, like a little Tonka truck. But those are awesome. So if you like open wheel and you don't want like heavy aero like the Formula and the IndyCar stuff is, those Lotus 49 and 79 are awesome.
Check it out. I haven't done a single an open wheel race yet.
Oh, really?
iRacing. I haven't touched it yet. But yeah, I might check that out. I've been thinking about it. I did pick up the IndyCar just for,
Well, you ought to run the Indy 500. They have those special events where they run the full length races if you can. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So
yeah, we'll try it out.
We'll have to put something together for that.
Give us an answer right now. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Say yes.
Get ready.
But iRacing is a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you're having a good time with it. I mean, are you having fun? Is fun the word?
Yeah, I really like racing leagues, seeing the same guy week after week, and kind of getting to know. You can build that camaraderie with it, and it's really been enjoying running with you guys and the rest of the guys in the Bandits Discord. Just because I get to hear when you guys are talking, I learn a lot of just by being a fly on the wall and listen to what you're talking about. And also just it's so fun when people are having bad days and you get to commiserate a little bit. People are ticked off, and sometimes it just helps to be we're not the only one. It's I haven't made it through a single ARCA race this season without getting in some accident. And that can be so wearing, but it's hey, it's fun when it's happened to other people, and it can be hey, just misery loves company, I guess.
It does.
Yeah.
So, I guess before we move on to anything else there, Mr. Eddie, you kind of talked a little bit, and we'll switch gears again here real quick. You talked about, your time in the Army and leaving the Army and then transitioning to a new city and all the different things that come along with that. And I kind of tend to ask this question of a lot of different veterans that have, whether they're still in the throes of it or they've kind of settled into what they're going to do. I mean, if you had to give that next veteran leaving, the service of any piece of advice, what would that advice be? Yeah,
start early. In your transition. So that's one thing, going back to what I talked about earlier, is my wife got this job, and I walked into my brigade commander's office and was hey, I'd like to drop my refrad packet, for 6 months. That was the minimum allowed time. And that was it. And he's and we were deploying to Poland at that time. And he basically said, no, I don't have to accept this. And Warren, we'll chat. But yeah, so I didn't get a lot of the Army offers, or the military in general offers a lot of programs like the Skill Bridge and whatnot, and those are really powerful to get your foot in the door, because the transition's hard. Civilian companies do not care for the most part what you did. You have to translate that and sell yourself there. And the best way to do that, Skill Bridge is a gift, because that means the companies can take you on no risk, and they can see if they like you. If they like you, they keep you on. So the most successful people I've had have done that, doing what I did. Yeah, it worked out great. I'm glad I was able to support my wife's career, but it didn't work out great for me personally in my career path. And so anybody changing, I think that would be my number one advice is don't just see the pants, plan it out, think about it, start making those connections on LinkedIn. Even though LinkedIn is a cesspool, but just, start doing that 1 year plus out.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice right there. I mean, it takes a lot of planning, and it takes a lot of, the networking part that you hit on as well. LinkedIn can be a good tool. It can be, I think it's a lot of just look at me people on there. Look at me and look how successful I am. And you're well, that's great. That's not helping me at all, but good for you, buddy. But getting involved with some of the, local entities like you did with NVETS and things along those lines, I think is also an amazing step as well. So, and then apparently the terrorists just showed up in my house because I just heard my dog's booking it out the door. So if things go dark here real quick, I think the SEAL team
30 over there.
Yeah, the SEAL team just hit my front door or something. Not sure what.
If a robot's going to roll in with a bunch of dogs. And just,
I'm not sure what just happened there, but things did. But
well, Devin, I had a question about England. What do you miss about England? Do you miss anything about it?
Yeah, I mean, I miss the food. I know jokes.
The first time I've ever heard anybody say they miss England food.
It's different. It's gotten better, I will say, from
really?
That reputation carries on. But also, I love the ability. It's just different. super car centric here, and I'm a big car guy. I love it, but I also just love being able to walk into town, grab a train into London. You know, especially if you want, God forbid, you want to go grab a drink or a couple drinks at the bar with your friends. Like where I'm at, it's not possible. You have to drive, and I really enjoyed that aspect, kind of the more communal nature of. Even if you live out, there's always ways to get into the town, unless you're like out on the farmland. But I love that. So we'll see. My wife, maybe she'll drag us back one day.
What kind of food did you like? Because I'm gonna be honest, I've seen plenty of pictures of an English breakfast. The whole the beans and the ham and all the whole deal. It looks really good, honestly. What would your kind of go to if you went back? What would be the first thing you went and got?
Yeah, a full English is that's a heavy breakfast right there. If you ever go, you'll find it. I don't think there's one specific thing, but like the food laws there are different. Like stuff has to be fresher, and it just tastes nicer. I tell you what, my first thing, my wife came over, she's like, we got just a standard like loaf of bread, you know, like thing.
So it tastes
like,
real too sweet.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, why is it so sweet and all this stuff? And you know, I'm like, oh, you know, and she's like, also, why is it still fresh like a week later? I'm like, yeah, well, you know. So those are some of the things I did appreciate. There isn't one specific thing I was like, I love that, but you know, just the general kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it seems it's really cool to be able in Europe. It seems awesome that you're able to go to so many different places so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like to go to Colorado, you have to drive for a whole day, and that's just half the damn country. I mean, you're in Texas for 14 damn hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems like it's really cool. You can just kind of take a train to another country, which is just wild for me to think about. Yeah, I'm from Podunk, Mississippi. Well, you know, I don't even know what a train is. Train carries coal, as far as I'm concerned. It's got graffiti on it. That's all I know about trains.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
So, so it sounds like it's pretty awesome. Do you miss it, or do you miss Seattle? I don't.
So I grew up about an hour north of Seattle, but I have to say Seattle because anybody that isn't from the West Coast, when you say Washington State, all they know is Seattle. Oh, Seattle. Like there's a pretty big state outside of that.
Very big state.
Yeah, but I miss the so I grew up 4 miles from the water and like an hour and a half from the mountains, and I do miss that. I know I talked with Pat about this when I saw him recently, but that's the one thing is I'm surrounded out here on two sides by cornfields, like in a housing development, and it's, you know, and so I miss like the sea, being able to just go down. I used to run down there all the time, and also like, you know, go up to the mountains, hike, mountain bike. I'd never skied or snowboard, but you know, loads of people did that, so it is kind of awfully flat out here.
Well, come down to the south, and it's like it's Satan's anus down here, so.
Hey, I love Georgia. When I was at Benning, I really liked Benning. I'm one of those weird people. I didn't like it when I was in the tanks because they were, you know, you had the 200-degree hydraulic lines running past your feet, and it was like boiling hot anyway. Oh, that was gross. But you know what? The rest of it was fine.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I miss the Pacific Northwest too. My last duty station was Portland, Oregon. Now, Portland proper, no.
You don't seem like a Portland guy. I'm just going to throw it out.
I am not. And boy, if we had a couple hours to explain some of the things I saw in that city. But Washington State's beautiful. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, ask me, you know, how did I end up back home here in Indiana? Well, it's just home and surrounded by family. But if I had to, you know, pick, I would be right back up there in Washington State. I mean, it's just so gorgeous. And like you said, you go hike up the mountain. You know, I was near Mount Hood. You know, so I was down in Vancouver, Washington, or you could go out to the coast and go out to the ocean, or, you know, all the rivers and everything that run through there because of, you know, the gorge and all that stuff. So it's a beautiful part of the country for sure. And I do miss some of the stuff about being overseas. You know, I was stationed in Italy for 3.5 years, and that was amazing. But it's cool to hear about your experience in England, though, because I never got to go up that way and experience those types of things. It's always fun to learn, you know, those different experiences and how people you know, and how their time was overseas. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. Unfortunately, I as being in England and as doing infantry stuff, I got to see the worst part. Like, you'd be amazed, like where they train in Wales, like there's swamps on top of mountains there. It's just the most despicable thing you've ever seen in your life. You'll be walking through on this hill and you like fall waist deep into this bog, and you're like, cool, this is my life for the next week.
No, I'm a solid pass on that one.
Yeah. Well, man, it's been awesome. We're glad to have you here. We're gonna keep you for the whole show. We're not getting rid of you. Well, let's talk a little bit about some things going on in chat. Want to let everybody come on in. Appreciate y'all. I see a bunch of comments already, so we'll kind of get y'all in here and make sure that y'all are the heck.
A kangaroo burger.
Yeah, McCarthy said he had a kangaroo burger in London. It was phenomenal.
Hey, I've actually had kangaroo out there too, and it is pretty good. Like,
oh, that's a real thing. I thought that was a
real,
joke.
It is, yeah. No, you can, especially if you go to Australia. That's
does it have sort of a kick to it?
Really?
No, not really.
Really?
It's a terrible joke, but no.
Really? You just,
oh my goodness!
You're just gonna try to slide that one in.
Riley Duncan said, "How do you get into the ARCA series and stuff? Are they paid or just sign up?" Well, I don't know, Pat. You tell them.
Yeah, and I think Jamie Limke got back to him as well. You just sign up. The only 2 paid series in all of Goat Lockers, the Premier Cup series on Wednesday night and the Premier Truck series on Friday night. Any other thing that we do, everyone is welcome. We're definitely in week 6 of the season, but that doesn't mean you can't join up and get out there and race with everybody and have a whole lot of fun. So if you want to join ARCA, go grab you a number real quick. Jake Ellingson or Dan Kirkiel get you all taken care of. And yeah, and we tell everybody that. Come race. I think some people get well, you're already, halfway through the season or whatever. Nah. Come out here and race. Come out and have a good time. That's why we exist, for people to come out here and race and have a good time. Or get pissed off and break their shifter mount. Either or, whatever happens on that night, for you. But come out and race.
I just want to make a quick comment on Riley because he races the late models, but he's on controller and he's an absolute demon. So
no kidding.
Yeah, you don't think it's possible, but he's sweeping the late models right now, and it blew all of our minds when he said he's on a game.
I think he led all 80 laps tonight. I think that was his 3rd win of the season tonight as well.
Wow.
He must got one of them modded controllers or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Send a picture of your controller in the Discord, Riley, and we'll show it on here. I want to see that. I want to see what you're working with. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I've heard of people doing controllers before, but I can't imagine driving iRacing with a controller. I can't even. My brain won't make it work. That's wild. But impressive though. I mean, if you can get out there and win races, that's is really impressive.
I mean, but there's also the opposite of that, man.
What's that?
Like if I just found out tonight on Goat Talk that I was getting my ass handed to me every week by a guy on a controller, I think I'd just have to hang it up.
Well, you didn't have to say that. You don't tank the whole late model series now, brother.
There'll be like 3 guys that show up next week. Like, what just happened?
All right. Well, Pat, let's talk about some nonprofit. Weird segue, but we're going to move into some. We got a lot of stuff going on, and so let's this whole podcast is about this. So let's move on to some. We got the Lincoln Tech's car show on June 28th. That's what you got listed there.
I do, and then for everybody's knowledge, I mean, we're not good with segues and we're not good with the dismount, so we'll continue to try to work on it. I think that was a decent one. But yeah, we got a lot of things as always that are happening, with Goat Locker Racing as a nonprofit. I think everybody's seen at the beginning of this year, just how much we have grown. And if you've been with this organization, I don't know, even 6 months, you've seen how much it's grown. And it continues on that trajectory. I tell everybody, that my days every day is just full of meetings and all kinds of crazy stuff to get things going. But I was actually at Lincoln Tech's campus yesterday, talking about a couple different things, but one of them is definitely that car show. So on June 28th, everybody mark their calendars. Okay. All right. I'm assuming during that pause, everybody actually did that. But mark your calendars. I didn't see Devon doing anything, but he knows he's going to be there. Yeah. But June 28th, it's a Saturday. What we've really talked about is we're going to have it as an evening car show this time. We talked about getting a live band out there and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to try to make it even bigger and better this year. Last year, I think we had close to 100 cars out there, which was awesome. And again, this has always been put on by Lincoln Tech. This isn't a Goat Locker thing. They just reached out to us because they always want to give back to a nonprofit. And that's how we got linked together. And it's just been a phenomenal partnership. And is Jam Printing Promotions actually in the? Wow, that's amazing.
They are. They saw your shirt and they had to say something.
They did, even though Cruising Classics was the one that dropped it off for me. But whatever. Inside joke from before the show. Thanks, Amber. Actually, thanks, Jerry. Jerry was the one that gave me the shirt. But I can't wait for that car show. For us last year, it was a big milestone for us because it was the first time we did a live event where we were actually out there, with the mobile sim. It was freshly built. The tents, the tablecloths, everything else that Jam Printing and Promotions provided for us. We unwrapped them that morning and set everything up. I mean, it was the first time our, the late model stock car got out there after we got that thing up and running. So it was a huge undertaking for us to be there. And then, oh, by the way, I said, hey, we needed to give away a sim rig at the same time too. So, let's just pile everything on at once. Then, oh, by the way, the radio, WFMS was out there and did interviews with me, Devon, everybody too. So it's really cool for me and the whole team to look forward to this year because this is going to be the first thing that we've done. Why is there an air horn? Why did the air horn go off?
It went off about 10 seconds too late. I tried to time it for some lag. So.
So that went well. All right. But this is the first time we're going back to do something. So for me and for the entire team and for Jamie, these milestones are really, really big. That, this is the second annual, car show with Lincoln Tech we're doing. And it just goes to show you how far we've come.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what else? What we got else go? Oh, I do have, I'm going to show this real quick.
Okay.
Riley sent, I don't know why I'm showing it. I don't need to, but I'm gonna.
Might as well.
Yeah. So this is what he's using, which is just a standard Xbox controller.
No, it's not standard. That's an Elite.
It's not an Elite.
No, it's not.
Yes, it's not an Elite. Look, I have the
trying
standard.
To give him some credit.
Oh, you can't see you can't see me. Yeah, that's just a standard Xbox controller. That's crazy. Look here, I got one right here. Boom, same thing. Well, that's pretty incredible. We'll have to get Riley on the podcast, see how that works.
I guess so, man. Maybe he can teach us all how to drive. I'd hate to see what he can do with an actual wheel and pedals.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a lot of time with like in the settings, getting your dead spots and everything like perfected.
Well, yeah, like the first thing that comes to mind is it feels like your front tires would just be doing this, and I feel like you're just burning your front tires off. But it sounds like Riley's got it going on. So thank you for showing that, Riley. I thought it was going to be some cool setup. It's just a regular Xbox controller. So even more props to you. That's amazing. So maybe they should quit. I don't know. Maybe late models, y'all are in trouble. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
No, great to have you, Riley. That's awesome. And late model series has been pretty incredible. Sorry, Pat, go ahead.
No, and then, kind of talking about that, so we are now, we got a bunch of new applications in thanks to InVets. They sent our application back out in the newsletter about a week ago, I think, at this point in time. Got a bunch of new applications in. I sent a bunch of those to our board of directors, and they're going through their selection process right now. So Monday we'll have a board meeting, and we will make our final selections. I have 2 complete sim rigs sitting downstairs right now that my wife would love nothing better that they were in somebody else's hands instead of all these boxes sitting in my house. So we're going to get them out there. So stay tuned. And one of the things that I talked about with InVets this week as well, I guess I was a lot of places this week. I was at InVets. I was at Lincoln Tech. I got a really cool meeting tomorrow. But where was that? I was talking about something. What was I talking about?
InVets. You're
using
a lot of cool stuff.
Right.
Getting the Sims out.
Yeah, we're going to get those out. But one of the really cool things about that too is, so when we go out this time, because Eddie, you'd mentioned, something before, let's get some more footage behind this. Let's get more interactive with it. Let's get the story behind it. So when I met with InVets this week, they were like, we want to go with you. So we're going to take the InVets crew. We're going to take some media assets with us. So stay tuned for that one. We are going to deliver one proper, Eddie style with some good media. And all that kind of crazy stuff. But InVets is going to jump in the Goat Locker Racing truck and come along for one of these deliveries, which I think is super, super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So I can't wait. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And then, we got a couple other things. So again, mark your calendars, May the 3rd. Everybody's marking their calendars and giving time. SAVE22 hike over in Massillon, Ohio. We're going to take our entire setup out there. We should be taking the car with us and everything too. So if you're in Ohio or can get to Ohio, or whatever, please mark that on your calendars. Man, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. And it's only coming up, and geez, we're only about 2 months out from, doing that whole thing. And then if you don't get enough of me talking, they actually invited me to be the keynote speaker at this hike. So I'm going to get on stage. I don't know why they called. They asked. I said yes. I also warned them. I said, if you give me a microphone in front of a bunch of people, I mean, you're just going to get what you get.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
It's a little dangerous, but so I'm going to be the keynote speaker at this whole hike. And I was truly honored that they asked me to do that. So, but please mark your calendars for that one as well. We're going to take everything out there. I'll have a whole lot of fun. The only thing I told them, I said, the only requirement I need from you guys is I need a big empty parking lot if I bring the car, because we're going to do some freaking burnouts.
There we go.
They said they can make that happen. I'm like, nice. And then, we've got a lot of things going on. We're in talks with so many different people, doing a lot of different things. And, so one of the cool things that happened this week, amongst many, many cool things. And again, I'm going to go to Aero McLaren next Friday. I'm going to hang out with Devon and Sophie and whoever else comes into that room.
Dragon Warren in too.
Hopefully TK, man, if we get TK in there, that'd be pretty amazing. Tony Kanan, for those that don't know who TK is, who was just recently promoted within the organization as well, if you don't keep up, which is super freaking cool. But so we got a lot of those things going on. But as everybody knows, the month of May is about the Indianapolis 500 here, and everything revolves around the Indianapolis 500. It's the biggest race of the world, all those different types of things. And so we've been scratching our heads for a while now, trying to figure out how we can get, some veterans to the Indianapolis 500. We want to do some things there. We want to get some guys out there. And so I picked up the phone, made a couple different phone calls, and I got 4 amazing tickets donated to Goat Locker Racing along with parking passes. And gentlemen, when I say amazing tickets, they are in the pagoda, like about 100 yards down from the start finish line. So they're nice and shaded.
Nice.
Like someone's got to, these tickets you don't buy. I mean, you've reserved them for years and years in advance. They are amazing. So these, you get to see all the pit stops happening, all the pre-race stuff that happens on the front stretch before the Indianapolis 500. It was a pretty big donation in my mind. And I know the dollar value behind it as well. I mean, between the parking passes and those tickets and the pagoda, it was amazing. So those were donated. And then I sat down with Jamie and I'm like, what do we do with them? Do we try to raise some money with them? Do we, use them as like a raffle item? Do we host some sort of event and use them as the grand prize? And, me and Eddie were kind of talking about this before, we came on the air too. I always lean towards giving back. That's the reason Goat Locker Racing exists, is that we can continue to give back. Yes, we're always in fundraising mode. It costs a lot. And I don't think anybody really has a full idea. The amount of money Eddie charges us is absolutely insane. So I got to keep paying him to do all this stuff, which is crazy. But, hey, but it takes a lot, and we're always in fundraising mode. And we could probably raise a lot of money with those tickets, considering what they were and with the parking passes. But we decided to give back. So Tim Jones and Dan Crackhill both got 2 tickets apiece to go to the Indianapolis 500 this year on Go. You stop with the soundboard. Through one of our generous donors.
You paid for this. That's crazy.
I know. So it was amazing today to talk to both of those gentlemen and let them know that, hey, grab your wife. You're heading to the Indianapolis 500 this year. And oh, by the way, you're going, you guys are going to be together in the pagoda, hanging out, having a good time. So is amazing for me, man. You know, there's a lot of people that give back to Goat Locker Racing, whether they're doing race control, whether they're doing admin, you know, whether they're providing a whole lot of comic relief, you know, in Discord. Jeremy Gardner's never going to get anything, but you know, hey, you know, sorry, Jeremy Hosevar. But it was awesome for us as an organization to give back to both of them who have done so much for us. So I always say something cool, like, and I think maybe Devon, you'll remember this from our conversation too. Whenever we award something out of Goat Locker Racing, I always want to say something clever like congratulations or something along those lines. But it always sounds weird to me because it wasn't something you won. It was something you earned. You earned it through your service. You earned it by, you know, Tim's an Army veteran. I think everybody knows Dan. We're going to talk about him here in a little bit because he's our Warrior of the Month. He's an EMT that serves his community and has served many communities. So it isn't a congratulations. It isn't, you earned it. And this is the, shut up, Jake. And this is the, this is the way we were able to give back. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Dan, for all that you do for us. This was just a small token of our gratitude. So enjoy the Indianapolis 500 this year. You better be wearing some Kyle Larson or Arrow McLaren gear. Matter of fact, I think we can take care of that for you. We already know Tim's a big Arrow McLaren fan, so we don't have to worry about that one. We're just going to have to make sure that we get Dan taken care of, that he's got the right stuff on when he goes.
That's right.
Find me. I'll definitely be there, so we can help you out a little bit.
There you go. Are you going to the Indy 500?
Oh yeah, I got my hard card for the season. I'll be at whatever races I can get to. I'll be there.
That's awesome. That is so cool. Well, congratulations, Dan and Tim. Man, well deserved. Y'all do so much here. It's unbelievable. So I can't wait. I hope we better see a lot of pictures. I'm tired of these things happening and we're not getting pictures and videos and stuff. So we're gonna make sure that we do that. Well, let's move on and let's talk about some things that we normally do. Now, Devon, we normally get the guests to do this, but we're not gonna put you on the spot like this. We gotta talk about our goat of the week. And we do this every single week. Who is the goat of the week? If you have one, you're more than welcome to shout it out. I'll give you opportunity to do that. But I'm going to start it this time. And mine's going to go to Jonah Colbert. The reason being, he has done so many paint jobs, and since he's come back, everybody knows. If you know Jonah, you know he can put down a damn good paint job. And so he has painted me like 3 schemes in the last couple weeks, and they're unbelievable. The Family Channel scheme is sick. I love 1997 NASCAR. I can put that whole season paint schemes up against any season ever in the history of NASCAR. I would love to see what we might need to do. That we need to, you know what? That's a great thing for like March Madness. We need to do a
like a bracket.
Yes, a bracket
like
of
a paint scheme
NASCAR
bracket.
Paint schemes.
Yeah,
100%. I'm going to write that down. But I will put 1997 up against anybody. That's a number 1 seed by far. So we're going to do that. Actually, that's fun. I like that. We'll actually seed them on the podcast. I think that'd be a great thing to do. But anyway, the Family Channel, I love the Todd scheme from that year, the Ricky Rudd scheme. Just that the Thunderbird Ford was just a great model, and then they moved to the Taurus. But anyway, regardless, he has done some of those schemes for me, and he knocks them out of the park. He does schemes for other folks. He made one for my dad, just completely unannounced, just because he wanted to. So that's going to be my go to the week, Jonah Colbert.
And he also did one for Glove Station and won himself a pair of gloves.
Boom.
That's true. And all of those went out yesterday. So and Glove Station, I talked to Glove Station today. They were so stoked. They saw all those paint schemes and were beside themselves. Yeah. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. So they were super stoked. So I talked to Chris today for a little bit, and he just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So that was pretty phenomenal. So I don't know. I told you before the episode, man, I was like, I was kind of struggling with the whole go to the week thing, and you know, because we're just surrounded by a bunch of losers, and yeah, it's hard to pick a. That was probably a little rough. That was a little rough. No, I'm actually going to shout out Jeremy Gardner, and the reason I'm going to do that is because the interaction in Discord, I think, is so important in everything that we do. And we've got some guys that really interact in Discord, whether it's just the jokes and the memes and, and all those different types of things. And that's a really, really important part of that. And Jeremy is that guy. He's the guy that'll stoke the fire. He's the guy that'll get in there and interact with you. And I think a lot of the guys really love it. They get to get in there and talk a lot of trash, and Jeremy will talk a lot of trash. But Jeremy's also that guy that will help out anybody. I've seen him tutor a lot of, drivers, try to help out a lot of drivers and those types of things. He's the guy. Well, he's probably the second most hated guy in Goat Locker. I think I'm the most. I catch the most shit for some fucking reason. Oop, there's my one.
Yeah, that's your one. Let me write that
my
down.
one. Photo over. Damn. But no, Jeremy's been awesome. He's been a great sport. He's been involved with us for a very long time. Not a veteran, but loves everything that we do. And yeah, that's my go to the week.
Love it. Devin, you got one?
Yeah, sure. I'll give a shout out to Jamie Libke, just for always being involved in everything. On the broadcast, probably watching, Goat Talk right now, not on the broadcast, in the races, always willing to help out with paints. These organizations thrive on people who are just willing to show up all the time and just do the stuff. So you know what? I think Jamie is well deserved. And also Jamie's, every time I'm racing with Jamie or see him in races, always in an accident and always just recovering hard. And that takes a lot of heart and spirit just to,
it does.
Running that mid-pack. The mid-pack is brutal and, just constantly climbing back through it. Props to Jamie.
Yeah. These fields this season are hardcore competitive. So yeah, it's good to stay in it. So you got to in this deal if you're gonna have a good finish, I think. Well, let's move on to the Warrior Spotlight, my second favorite segment that we do, and that of course is Daniel Kerkeel. He's in chat. What's up, Dan? The winner of one of the winners of the Indy 500 tickets. It's just all around good guy. That's why he's the Warrior Spotlight of this month. It's next to last day, so we'll get to stop talking about him now. He was an EMT with AMR in St. Louis for 6 years. In addition to providing private 911 and transfer services, he is a part of AMR's emergency response team. He has deployed for 22 weeks to Chicago and New York to provide support during the COVID crisis, as well as to Eastern Tennessee and North Carolina for hurricane relief. He's a admin here at GLR. Thank you for what you do here to serve your community at GLR. We couldn't do without you, brother. I love that. So Daniel Kerkeel, yeah, there he is right there. Look at him standing. He got was that the Stanley Cup? Good Lord.
I think it is.
Yeah, I don't know anything about hockey. All right. Well, man, those are my two favorite segments. But yeah, let's talk about a couple things. Kind of want to open this up to the chat. So y'all, a bunch of people in chat tonight. Thank y'all so much for being here with us. We're going to open it up to y'all. We want to hear what y'all think about certain things. So we're going to move into some sort of Q&A open discussion, chat engagement is what we call it. And we're going to start talking about some sim racing stuff, some NASCAR stuff. NASCAR season's hitting the road running, pretty awesome races. IndyCar is going to pick up F1. We'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff. But the question right now is, what do we think about New Atlanta now after a few years? Now, set the stage. I think if you remember, they were going to redesign, reconfigure one of the best tracks on the circuit. You got Texas out there just lobbing ducks and duds, and just a weird track that they made. Just turn one, just so goofy. And then you got Atlanta that's putting on these awesome shows while they get spread out. Then they decide to redesign it. And dadgummit, they turned it into a super speedway, and we're all like, what in the world is wrong with you? Y'all, Marcus Smith, you've lost your mind. But after some of that Georgia heat, couple seasons running on it, what do y'all think as far as Atlanta now as the current product as it stands?
I like it. I think it's become a really cool mix of still handling tire degradation, and it's a super speedway ish. Yeah. It has put on some phenomenal shows. This year's race was phenomenal, and I think it's only going to get better as that track continues to age, continues to get a little roughed up even more, and the handling starts to come in. I honestly think, and I've heard a couple commentators, kind of talk about this a little bit, that Atlanta might have the key to what plate racing needs to be. You know, you can get away from each other a little bit. It isn't, you know, there's a big, you know, handling, you know, entire degradation. So I dig it. I also dig Texas too. I mean, you're more opinionated about stuff than I am. I mean, it's gonna be okay, buddy. You know, hey, love it or not, all the championship races are going to be there this year in Goat Locker Racing. So you know,
you know,
can't
what's
make everybody
interesting?
happy.
What's interesting about Atlanta is, you know, because you think back to when NASCAR really started hitting its stride, you know, 1969, in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of those races, if you don't look through your rose-colored glasses, a lot of the super speedway races were just, hey, can I get to the finish first off?
Yeah.
You know, you would have engine issues. People would go down for 43 plus laps, maybe more, you know, in the garage trying to fix things, get back out there. People would win by laps. Multiple laps. Sometimes it would be spread out, be 2 or 3 cars, you know, at the end, you know, at the I think it was 69 Daytona 500, 3 cars there at the end, or no, it was just 2. It was just them 2 that were running. I do believe, I could be wrong, or Darrell Waltrip was that the one where Darrell? No. Anyway, I've lost my mind. You know, they were all strung out. It'd be the best, you know, 2 cars that handled the best, and they got out there, and you know, it wasn't pack racing, which
right.
You know, then they put restrictor plates on it when people started flying over the damn walls, for good reason. I mean, you're going too fast, and they can't insure people going 240 miles an hour. So I get it. So I feel like after like you said, once the surface starts to wear, and these guys figure out that you need a certain setup, they start figuring out the track. I think it's turned into a pretty damn good show. I watched on Max. They moved the car cameras to Max, the streaming service, where you can watch the in-car camera of any driver. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I had to turn it off and go back to the broadcast because I was so damn stressed out watching those guys race in that environment. In those turns, they were getting huge runs off the top side. The lanes would come at them just so fast. It was unbelievable. I was like, oh my God, I can't watch this. This is insane how fast that stuff was just coming at these guys. And it, you know, it helps kind of showcase their talents, which is what I like. I like for NASCAR, you know, any driver of any discipline to show their talents. I like for, you know, you to be able to kind of separate yourself with the wheel and the pedals. And I feel like right now that's what Atlanta is.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
What about you, Devin? What do you think?
Man, I don't have enough knowledge on it to make a strong opinion. I will say, Texas Motor Speedway, man, I don't know about NASCAR, but they had some good races in IndyCar before they dropped it. I missed that track. So, I don't know, different discipline, different stuff, but that was a cool one there.
Yeah. Well, Jamie Lipke says he likes both Atlanta versions. I don't really like either one more than the other. They're so different and fun. I can't disagree with that. I think first initially I was on the side of, I can't believe they're doing this, but I definitely agree now. Jacob Elling said Iowa, Eddie, Iowa. No. Well, Iowa in real life, I love. I think that's great. The new Atlanta will get better after the surface ages. I like that. And then McCarthy says, I think it would be great if NASCAR can make a consistent call for once. Okay. Well, I don't know what that has to do with New Atlanta, but I don't know why I read that.
He just wanted to make that comment.
Yeah, he was like, I need to get this opinion out. Where's the Facebook comment section? Thanks for coming out. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's turned out to be something that's been a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited to see what it turns into. If it turns into, you know, the pack starts to get spread out, I think I'll like that. I think I'll like the strategy. It'll be a different type of racing. It's the Kyle. You kind of said this, Pat, but Kyle Larson was on Stacking Pennies this week, and he said that it's what the drivers wish Daytona and Talladega was. Because they have some input in it. They have a big part of whether they win the race or not, where Daytona Talladega now is just turned into fuel saving, running 60% throttle. So Brandon Evans says, I think you have to break this topic up into different series in regards to Atlanta and Texas. Both series are great for Atlanta. This was a win this time around. Texas is improving as the PJ1 is worn off. Okay. Yeah. I would love for Texas to be better, and maybe I just have a doo-doo opinion about it. I don't know, but yeah.
You are one of the most heavily opinionated people I know when it comes to tracks. Like, it's either I hate it or I love it. There's like no in between with you.
No, there's plenty of in between.
No.
I don't throw a track out. I'll tell you, Indy. I'm in between on NASCAR. I'm whatever. It's fine.
What?
I don't love it or hate it.
Why would you even bring up hallowed ground into this conversation?
I'm just saying, as a stock car on Indianapolis.
No, don't.
Okay, so now I can't have a middle of the ground opinion. That's
not about Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can't.
So I have a strong opinion. Now I have a mid opinion. You're like, now that I can't do that. So I think it's you that's got the opinions you need. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Texas or Coda, Eddie? Oh, okay, well, Texas. Coda is they could light that place on fire. What a dumbass track to put stock cars on. It's great. It's great for F1.
See?
Yep.
Case closed, Judge.
But F1, it's great. It's a great F1 track. It's literally 3 F1 tracks put together. They took I can't remember all the terms, but it's like 3 different tracks. They took different sections and pushed them together. And Eddie's trying to start something. Okay.
So I want to say something about Coda. I drove on that in a 1965 Chrysler, and it was an old boat. It was the funniest thing going through like the chicanes. And the suspensions. It was absolutely hilarious.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. Well, they're shortening up Coda this season. I saw that picture. So well, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'm down to see it change up and see how it goes. I mean, obviously it's a great market. It's a great facility. A lot of things about NASCAR, what they do is not about the track. It's about the market and trying to grow the sport. Chicago was sort of a diamond in the rough for that to me, because I felt like Chicago was going to be dumb, and man, has it put on really good shows. I'm actually going to that race this year. That's how much I loved it. So Chicago, awesome. Yeah, I like that they try things, and if they're committing to trying things, if it doesn't work, just move on. If it does work, let's play around with it. They tried the LA Coliseum. That's cool. It's cool. It didn't work, but they tried it, and now they found something better. So I'm happy that they're trying things and they're not married to these ideas.
Maybe I like Coda so much because it was the year that Ross Chastain punted AJ Allmendinger to get the win. Maybe that's why I love that place so much, because for the first, you often don't get to see AJ getting back what he gives to everybody when he goes to a road course. And he moved Ross out of the way, and Ross said, "Hey, y'all, hold my beer," and just sent him into the gravel. And I think I was probably the most excited I've been in a while. So Coda's got a big thumbs up from me.
Got a question in chat. I'd love to hear you guys' opinion of it. Did you like the show at Bowman Gray? Did you watch that awesome one? Devin, did you watch that?
No, I didn't even know that was happening because that was a Clash, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so people were talking about that. I was like, there's a race before Daytona? What is this?
Yeah. I love the aura of Bowman Gray. That's another one of those, like, whatever about the racing. It's the aura. It's the way the track looks. The track looks awesome. It's got it's a
lot of history there.
Yeah, it's such a cool place. NASCAR needs to go to more places like that instead of making up tracks out of football stadiums. I thought it was a home run. I would love to see that every single year. They can make it a points race. I don't care. I don't feel strongly about that. Anything can be a points race. You put cars on it and tell them to go race. Why does that? What does it matter about the points race and stuff? I've heard people have pretty strong opinions about, they don't need to be a points race. Well, why not? I don't understand. Probably because they don't have pit stalls, I guess.
Yeah, you couldn't put the full field out there. You'd have to run it the exact same way. But I thought it was a home run too. I love that NASCAR went back to its roots, went to Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000%, Eddie. That's what NASCAR needs to do. They don't need to make things up. They don't need to take one of the greatest racetracks, Bristol Motor Speedway, and throw a bunch of dirt on it. They don't need to do this weird gimmicky stuff. There are some amazing tracks out there. If you want to go run dirt, go to Eldora. What an amazing track and history at that, there as well. If you want to put on a Clash, again, don't turn a football stadium in Los Angeles. The furthest thing away from NASCAR's home, go to Bowman Gray, go to the Madhouse. And I think, the racing was awesome. I think, I think it was really good. But it was the whole thing coming together that really made it, in my opinion, awesome.
Yeah, I think you had everything you could want. There was the last chance qualifier that was just beating and banging, people just knocking each other out of the way, and then you had a couple races that were more laid back and more strategic, and guys being sort of like a scalpel through the field. So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I hope that they decide to go back. So I had another question. I meant to ask this last week, but this is a topic I'm curious to hear other people's opinions on. And Cletus McFarland raced the ARCA series. If you don't know who Cletus McFarland, he's a big YouTube personality, very popular, and obviously, ARCA is sort of a buy-in type series. If you got enough money, you can go race ARCA. You buy a seat, and so it's not like he was in NASCAR, but he did give ARCA a pretty huge viewer bump. And so it's not really about Cletus, but I'm curious to hear people's opinions about influencers. And the state of NASCAR is if you got the money, you can go drive. That seems to be the case these days, even maybe in the Cup Series. But I'm curious what y'all think about the value of influencers versus, just a regular race car driver. What do y'all think about that? Cletus, obviously very popular. I'm not dogging him or anything. I'm positive for Cletus, but I'm just curious about how does he fit in with NASCAR? How does that all work? What do y'all think?
Well, I think I loved it. I love the fact that there's a personality. You don't see a whole lot of these personalities, and like real personalities, I should say.
Yeah.
I think Noah Gragson is very good with that. He's just kind of a real guy, and he cuts it up and he jokes, and he does some pretty funny stuff. But there's a lot of stagnant personalities in racing right now. And so to bring something in that kind of draws a little more attention, brings in a different crowd, I honestly think there's probably a line there somewhere. I mean, you don't want to bring just anybody in, to make to go back to the whole comment I made, with gimmicks and things like that. I don't see this as a gimmick. He did well. He raced well. It was Daytona, so, got wrapped up in some stuff. But I liked it, man. And I liked his personality, and I liked the things that he said and talked about afterwards. And like I said, in a field that is pretty void of personality, it was cool to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Pat. I think it's good that he showed up. I mean, it just helps drive engagement. Like, he did a lot for the drag racing world. Just increase a lot of popularity there. And any sport like that can, there we go. Any time that you can get somebody that drives engagement to the sport is great. And the fact that he said he's a competent wheelman, so he can drive. And it's a little different. You get somebody who has absolutely no idea, and they're just kind of out there. And it would have been different if he had suddenly showed up maybe in the Xfinity series or something like that. That would have been too far of a step. But if on the flip side, if he works his way up through ARCA and he's successful running ARCA and hey, I want to make the jump to Xfinity or whatever. Hey, that's good for NASCAR. It's good for him. I think it's great just getting those people in and driving engagement, because that's the new medium, right? That's YouTube is where people are watching now, and if you can get those worlds across, you're winning.
Yeah, I think to me, it sort of falls into the similar line of Travis Pastrana and maybe even Hailie Deegan. I hate to even say Hailie Deegan because I think she was a pretty solid race car driver, but she definitely leaned on the influencer side a bunch. And then Travis Pastrana, has a brand. I mean, he's just a brand, and it brought a lot of viewers to the sport. Massive following that he has. And, it's tough for those folks. That's one thing I'd worry about Cletus is coming in is it's going to be tough regardless of how many fans you have, and what kind of people. It's still, this is the top levels of this type of racing. So to me, I don't know. I get nervous about opening the floodgates of, so influencers. Let's go race at NASCAR. ARCA seems like it'd be a good place for that. But I would hate to continue to go down that road of money over anything, money over talent. Because I'm terrified of not seeing Christopher Bell or not seeing Kyle Larson or not seeing these, generational talents make it in because somebody had enough money, enough YouTube followers that they were able to get in. I don't think that's what he's doing. Like I said, I'm pro Cletus McFarland. Trust me. because I love the personality. I just get a little bit nervous about where this could lead if the brain trust over at NASCAR decides, hey, let's start bringing in a bunch of influencers and giving these provisionals to people. Helio is a different story. I mean, he's a champion driver. So I like that. He got it. I don't love that Jimmy Johnson had to fight his way in, but
yeah, I didn't love that process either.
yeah, but Helio, at least he is a race car driver. If they start, let's give it, hey, so and so, Mr. Beast wants to race in the Daytona 500. Let's give him provisional because he's got a billion followers. Yeah, that to me that would be crazy. I don't think they would ever do that, but yeah, I was just curious what people thought about him because he was a hit on the interview. He's a hit on YouTube. I mean, he went on Dale Jr. Download, thought that was fantastic. So it's a different avenue. Frankie Muniz is in the art. Is he in the truck series now or Xfinity?
It's trucks, yeah.
Trucks.
Yeah, trucks. Yeah. And he started in ARCA, and he's working his way. He's paying his dues. So a lot of opportunity there. It's just it's an interesting kind of where do we go from here type deal with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for it. I thought that was cool. I agree with some of what you're saying there, Eddie, too. With you can't just open up the floodgates. But I mean, racing kind of is that nowadays. Yeah. If you've got the money and you got the backing, you're going racing. You can have all the talent in the world, and unless you've got the money, you are not going to get a seat. Which is just unfortunate, but that's just the way things. But there are a lot of really cool stories out there as well, too. I mean, Brayton Laster comes to mind. And believe me, I've visited their his race shop and all that stuff. There ain't a whole lot of money there, but there is a whole lot of will. And they're making things happen, and he's getting out there, and he got him a full-time ride this season. So there's still some really cool stories out there, but having Cletus a part of NASCAR, I love it. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's make it a thing. And somebody put a microphone in front of him every week.
He's radioactive. Just needs to keep him just on lock.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next one I had was this is something I'm interested to hear what people's thoughts are. What is and sorry, Devin, but what's the best body style or generation of NASCAR cars? And you can go Indy cars if you're into or F1, Devin, if you want to. Okay.
Right. I'll talk after.
I want to hear. What do y'all think? What's the best body style, or what generation do y'all love the most in NASCAR? What's the best?
So I'll jump in. I'll start. I got two. I think my favorite, just the nostalgia. I love the old wing cars, like from the 70s, the Superbirds and the Daytonas. I think those are such iconic. And I can tell the flip side, the other wing cars are the absolute worst. The cars of tomorrow. Oh man, I remember when those things showed up. I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, those were a little rough. They were trying something there, and it didn't quite work out. They had to go back to what they were actually doing. Man, that is such a tough question. I've loved the. I grew up watching IndyCar. From Indianapolis, those types of things. Really didn't get into NASCAR until, man, I was already in the Navy. And a good old boy never forget the guy's name. The guy's name was Jim Ball. He was from North Carolina. And, we were in the barracks together, and he's like, "Oh, you're from Indy. You like racing, NASCAR." And, and I started getting into NASCAR. But, I don't know that I really have, I think all of us can kind of agree that, hey, let's get rid of the car tomorrow. Let's just forget that ever happened, and move on from there. It's a tough one. I'd almost go back to the late 90s Monte Carlo. And that's because for me, that's when I got into NASCAR, in the Lumina. If anybody remembers what a Chevy Lumina was, that throws way back to those days. But those were the days, that I really got into NASCAR, and, I became a huge Jeff Gordon fan. Back in the days of the Rainbow Warriors and all the other stuff. But I'd have to go all the way back to like I said, the early to mid 90s when it was the Monte Carlo and the Lumina.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that in chat. And I love the answers that are in chat at the moment. You got Tim Jones talking about the Buick Gen 4, which is and I think a lot of it has to do with what you grew up watching. You know, when is your favorite time of NASCAR? Which a lot of people feel like the mid 90s is sort of that. So I see a lot of Gen 4. I love the 90s Craftsman truck, like the 1995, the Super
Oh yeah.
Boxy,
Oh yeah.
the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. And I think there's been a huge push to try to get those on the service because those are really cool. So love those. Let's see. Chevy James. Who is Chevy James 85? That
Oh, I think that's Goshen. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He says 80s to the COT. The COT was a mistake. Hard to disagree with that. Yeah, for me, I just love there's a couple different versions that I love. I love the 87 Monte Carlo. I love that the cars were so different back then. That's one thing that I do miss is and they're trying to bring that sort of identity back, but I do miss where they were just the look, the whole thing was just like the production car. That was such a cool time in NASCAR.
Yeah.
That 87 Monte Carlo was a beauty. But yeah, I love the Lumina. I remember those times are really awesome. The 97, the Thunderbird comes to mind. But, the one that sticks out more than anything is like the 2002 Gen 4 Super Speedway car. The one that you saw they raced at Daytona Talladega. That one's first one that comes to mind, the one that I love the most, just because the way the bodies were on those plate tracks were just really cool. And that whole era just had some of the best racing just overall. Anywhere they went, the racing was good. Now we're having to pick and choose. We want short tracks, we want mile and a half, we want super speedway. Pick two. You can't ever have everything. But back then we had everything. All those tracks were fun to watch. Road courses, the mile and a halves, and obviously the super speedways are unbelievable. So yeah, I'd have to say like Gen 4, or right after that.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right. Well, let's see. Brian Petite says hi to everyone. What's up, Brian? Tim Jones says 90s for sure. Wish I was around for when the cars were different. Can you tell Pat I was in tears when he made me go to the week?
I could read the comment for myself, Jeremy. Thanks, though, buddy.
What kind of car or series would you like to see on iRacing that isn't currently? That's a tough one because I got damn near everything.
Oh, I mean, you just brought up one I never thought about, but if they bring back that first truck, oh, that would be so much fun. I don't know. I mean,
they punched such a big hole in the air.
Oh,
the runs they used to get at Daytona Talladega was unbelievable, dude. They were so awesome.
That'd be a lot of fun. But I mean, iRacing has done such an amazing job of bringing in cars and bringing in tracks. They just got done scanning Portland. So Portland will be coming to the service here, shortly. So I don't. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I see Jonah saying Australian super trucks.
Semis.
I like that. 1995 Craftsman trucks we just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
True F1. That's a good point. We don't really have a true F1 car. They just don't give out that information to iRacing. They seem to be pretty.
Yeah.
iRacing's an American company, and that data is very important to those teams. They don't really want to give it out, so I get that. We're always sort of a generation behind with F1, which is a bummer. I come up with this question, but I don't know if I even have an answer of something that's not on iRacing that I would want to see. I mean, karting would be really cool. I don't know how they would do that. I like dirt karts. I like.
Well, they got the
karts.
Silver Crowns. Which is about as close as you're going to get.
Yeah. I would love
yeah.
to see them try to figure that one out. Maybe that'd be pretty cool to see. Some other sims like a set of course I do believe has like some mods and stuff for that. Group B rally racing. I'm sure that could be possibly done.
I'm kind of with that in the older stuff. I'd like to see like the 90s Le Mans cars, like the CLK GTR, the F1 GTR,
Yeah.
all those like kind of iconic Le Mans cars. I think
Mm.
those would be the Mazda 787B. Like those, that would be fun to see all those on the track.
Hell yeah. iRock. That's something I just thought about. iRock is what we need. We need a damn iRock car in an iRock series. Why hasn't that been done? Well,
Yep.
I
Start
like
the petition
that.
now. Let's start the petition now. I don't know why we didn't think about that,
Yeah.
but to have
That
an
should've been on
iRock
the top of the
series
list.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
If they'd bring those cars, that would be amazing.
Yeah, those are always just fun races. I don't know how they would translate. I don't know how you would get that data, but I think those would be pretty fun. We talked about the ARCA car. We kind of want to talk about this Dev Spotlight. I'll actually put it in chat if you haven't seen it. And we're not going to check everything with this, but if you look in chat and you'll see it on screen right now, this is the Dev update for February. And honestly, I want to talk about this just because we're on the sim racing night for ATYL Media, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of this stuff. But if you haven't seen this is a pretty big old drop of information, and this next season is going to be incredible. The ARCA car, y'all talked about it, getting a newer ARCA car. Well, they're bringing the ARCA car up to standard. I'm sad to see it go a little bit. I'm a little bit nervous to lose that car, but maybe we'll see a true Gen 4 in its proper form, which is something that they also talked about. So ARCA will have a new car.
Yep.
And
all the different manufacturers finally.
Yes, and that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna have ARCA Menards on the thing, you gotta have to have it be like true life.
Yep.
So excited to see that. They have some pictures of the interior. They're still waiting on the manufacturer approval, so they can't show any of that stuff yet. But the insides look really awesome. Pat, you said you were excited about Portland, which is something they also have.
Yeah, I'm always excited when they bring. Sometimes I think they hit on the tracks, and sometimes I think it's a little bit of a miss. And I'm always excited when the notes come out about the new build, about what new car they're going to stick in there and what new tracks. And then when I saw this one and I saw that they were finally getting Portland in there, I'm like, that's awesome. Because not only does NASCAR go there, IndyCar goes there, and so that track is used by a lot of top tier, racing bodies. And so for them to finally get the scan done and bring Portland to the sim, I think it's going to be awesome. So I'm excited for Portland to get here. And it gives us another thing too. So for this year in Go Like a Racing, the return of Rockingham has come to NASCAR, and then the trucks are actually going to go to Lime Rock Park as well. So it gives us a chance to add some new, fresh things to our schedules. So we're going to Rockingham, and whether you like it or not, we're also going to go to Lime Rock Park. And
I don't know who would dislike that. That's awesome.
Oh,
I cannot wait.
You can't please everybody. Everybody's got an opinion, man. Some would be like, and then other people are like, hey, and we're like,
I can't wait for that race. I'm so excited to watch that one.
Yeah, Lime Rock will be a whole lot of fun. That's a cool road course, and when you actually I've run the ARCA car there a couple different times, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun until the ARCA car gets really loose cresting that hill, and then you almost die every single lap. So hopefully the truck will stick to the ground a little bit better. But yeah, looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to, again, Portland, because it'll give us an opportunity to do something different here in Goat Locker as well. So I thought it was super, super cool.
Yeah. They're doing a refresh of some NASCAR tracks. We've seen a couple of those already.
Yeah.
Homestead, one of them. I love this. I love that they've been doing that. Watkins Glen is beautiful now. I mean, they had the old version for so long. They updated it. It looks incredible. It's such a fun track. All the little like the 3D curbing and stuff that they have now that just make these tracks more. They just have that feel. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. It feels, they just add more detail and all that stuff. Really matters. Even though you're flying by all these corners, it definitely matters when they do these type of things. So doing a little refresh at Homestead, you can see some of those 3D curbing right there. Pretty controversial one right here. What do y'all think about this? Poor connection. They're going to send you back to pit road if your connection's bad.
I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how it actually works. what is their definition of a poor connection? Is it a ping level? Is it a latency level? I hear a lot of the complaints, the blinking complaints and things along those lines. I mean, you get plenty of those types of things. I don't know that this was a necessary solution, but here it is. So, if you got some, if you got your internet at Walmart, you might want to, step it up a little bit and head over to Best Buy and get some internet or something, because you're gonna start getting parked apparently.
Well, what I hope is that this is for official series only. I didn't read it fully, so it may obviously be. Hopefully, it's not something that is put in leagues automatically, or at least you have the option to turn that off. I hope that's sort of the thing, but it's tough if you're ever on the bad side of getting hit by an invisible car. You're kind of happy about this. But if you've ever been on the side where your internet's normally fine, you get into a race and boom, you're blinking. You're not causing any problems, and then all of a sudden now you got to go down pit road. That's gonna suck. I don't know. That you're right. The implementation, I guess, is the real thing here on how they make that work. But so far, it's been an interesting response to it. I feel like it's been pretty negative across the board. Everybody's sort of disliked it. Well, we'll move on. New lighting, which I'm always happy about, broadcasting races. If we can get Goat Locker to stop putting every damn race at night, that we can take advantage of some of the broadcasts here at some of these sunsets. We got this amazing lighting at some of these tracks, and every race is at night.
Okay, hold up. First, anytime you go to Iowa, it's under the lights, period. Point blank. That's the way Iowa needs to be raced.
Okay.
What other races Las Vegas. Vegas is, that's
if
another.
Lights, y'all run them at night, and it's okay to run a sunset race. You go to Daytona, have that bitch at sunset coming right over the Atlantic Ocean.
Again, I'll go back to my previous statement. Everybody's got an opinion.
Well, I whatever. I think that the lighting and stuff, they've done a really good job of that.
They have.
It looks awesome. Like you go to Homestead and if you get that sun just right, it'll blind you coming off the corner. That's such a cool thing. Something you don't really think about, but that's what the real guys have to deal with.
Yeah.
I need like a LaDainian Tomlinson shade on my driver whenever that happens. But yeah, so cool to see some good lighting, some different graphic engines updates, which I think is really exciting, actually. I think people have been asking for iRacing to sort of catch up to if you ever raced Assetto Corsa, Competizione or whatever it's called, or Forza or any of these like modern sims that come out, the graphics are pretty incredible. Assetto Corsa, ACC, you crank the settings up. ACC has a lot of problems. It's such an annoying sim to race on, but if you get on there and get it right, you turn the graphics up, it's beautiful. And iRacing has slowly been getting there, but what they are doing here with the different shadows and all the stuff they're talking about here, and really get that engine up, it would be hard to argue that they're not just the best. But it's good to see those improvements sort of coming down the pipeline.
I like it.
Here's a Gen 4 preview. I love this. This is something that everybody's asking for. I can't wait. It's going to be a freaking blast. I love the throwback to NASCAR racing 2003. I still have that on my computer. I
still have a copy of it.
Do you really?
I do.
Yeah, there's such a great modding. I downloaded a Realistic Bristol mod the other day that you can go on, and it's like a 1997, I think, version of Bristol, but high quality, super high definition, and it is a lot of fun. Devin, you ever played NASCAR racing 2003?
Nope, never did.
Well,
I'm curious though. Well, what's Pat? Are you guys thinking of keeping ARCA? You guys might go to a Gen 4 or like swap it out depending on how things go.
Well, I don't think we're going to have much of a choice. iRacing is going to retire the old ARCA car. So we'll have to make the change. But I think a lot of people will welcome it. It'll be a little bit of a curveball and those types of things, but people will welcome it, and we'll have a whole heck of a lot of fun with it. So I'm looking forward to it. Give everybody a chance to to pick their manufacturer, run their manufacturer, and actually get in a car that's actually being run on the circuit right now. I'm a little bit with Eddie too. The ARCA car is so much fun. I'm I'll be, we'll shed a little tear, for it, and we all had some great times in it and things along those lines. But good to see a lot of the updates, and again, Eddie, I kind of agree with you too. I mean, I think iRacing kind of gets stuck in this whole graphics thing, because they want to keep it at a somewhat of a level that everybody can get in. You don't need this high-powered computer. You don't need those types of things. So I think they've kept it at a pretty good level. And really, I would tell you from my standpoint, when I stepped up my monitors to 1440, and then I got, my 4070 Ti graphics card, iRacing looks gorgeous.
I'm proud of you. Will you do the numbers?
Thank you, buddy. Or it's a 4090. 4090? It's a 40 series. Whatever. But once I, upgraded that and I upgraded the monitors to 1440, iRacing looks so much better. So, but I think that they've kind of been stuck in that a little bit. Like if they go, full Monty on the thing, I think you exclude a lot of people.
Yeah.
Unless you can really dumb the graphics back down.
Well, Rain was sort of like that. When they introduced Rain, like there's a couple times where it would just completely tank your frame rate just because of that's sort of a modern, up to date way of doing things. And so yeah, they definitely want to be careful that they don't they don't push people out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have to try to push forward. But as far as the ARCA car goes, I think you're hit on something that's absolutely right. I think regardless of what car people love, I think your best course of action for iRacing is always to run the car they currently run. If you're trying to bring people in, for sure. The next gen, I think a lot of folks are like, some people are like, I love the next gen. Some people are like, I hate it, but I wouldn't want it any other way because that's what they race on Sunday.
Right.
It feel real weird to have the ability to run that, and then they put the COT in or something, some crazy, deal. So you really have to run and if you want those partnerships to be there, they want ARCA and NASCAR to be, partnerships to mean something. They have to have that, I think. So I'm nervous. I'll be sad to see it go. It's like the last bastion of old school iRacing. Once it goes, but it'll be fun to learn something new. I think it's always fun to learn something new. Well, all right, guys. I don't know. I feel like we've taken plenty of time, and that was a pretty damn good show, Devon. Man, thank you so much for making time for us. Hope we didn't take up too much of your time, but we appreciate you being here with us and telling us your story. We're glad to have you here. I know I am. I want to win this Pro-Am championship in ARCA, so I'm glad you're here. But it's been fun getting to know you. It's been fun racing with you. Looking forward to doing that more often in other series, maybe once you get into some of these other ones and race with us when you get some more time. So we appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's great to come on, chat, and see all the comments and stuff, and see everybody engaged, and see y'all on the track.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much for being in chat. Chat was wide open tonight. Thank y'all so much for being part of the broadcast, and give us your opinions. There's some really good ones out there. We definitely appreciate that. Go check out SAVE22, and we'll throw some stuff up on the screen before we go.
Maybe.
There we go. Boom.
Oh,
Happy Hour. Oh, it went away. Nope. HappyHourRacing.com. Go check those out if you want some NASCAR merch. I think they got some other things on there for sure. Just scan that QR code or go to happyhourracing.com/ATYL. And all of our sponsors, Alexander PC Glove Station, Jam Printing Promotions, SAVE22, Gloves. I've already said Gloves. Glove Station, Lincoln Tech. Let's see, Hidden Wit Brewing Company. What?
You were doing amazing.
I'm nailing it, right?
You are. Keep it going.
InVets, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs. God dang, let's go.
Ooh.
Who did I miss? I missed somebody.
Did you get Cruising Classics?
Cruising Classic.
There we go.